Why are you telling me this, guys? We already know this. This happened. You know, what's going to happen in July? Hello, this is Carrie O'Donnell, Tarot Soul Writer. And if you would like a personal reading with me, please go to my website, tarotsoulwriter.com, and I'd be happy to do a reading for you. Today, this is my video on the July 2025 predictions. Full disclosure, I feel like the last couple weeks have been a hard, energetic week for me, especially since the Iranian bombing. Right before the bombing, and then into the days that I meditated and worked on these messages, I found it was like energetically going through molasses. That's the best metaphor I can think of to explain how I was feeling. I've been very sluggish. It's been really hard to function in some ways. And I've actually had, for the very first time, physical symptoms related to dealing with hard energies. That doesn't usually happen to me. So I've just been spending a lot of time taking care of myself. And I feel like today's video or this month's messages will be a little shorter than normal. I feel I got less messages. To be frank, I think there are things coming up in July that I'm just not privy to knowing. Felt it was really difficult to speak with my guides. I felt at times I was being run around in circles, and they were doing things like taking me back to the past so that I could understand why something happened, even though I was asking about the future. These are things that don't normally happen in meditation, so I've just decided to go with it. This video is called the Unraveling because I feel the month of July, all of the narratives that the Melon Felons administration have been working on begin to unravel. I think we are going to see the seeds of truth coming to the surface and the rise of the people. And even though I feel like this is going to still be a difficult month, a trying month, a month where we really have to push for justice, at the same time, I felt optimistic that we were right on the edge of beginning to move toward the light as a nation. So let's start the story. And we're actually going to begin with my first image, which was of the light. The first thing that I saw was the sun. It was bright and it was hot. Now, I did get messages that in July, we were going to have to deal with extreme heat throughout the nation. Specifically, I got the plain states like Nebraska, states that I normally didn't think of when it came to extreme heat. Normally, I'm thinking of California and the fires, but I felt like we were dealing with fires, drought, issues, especially related to farming, and just in short, some extreme and uncomfortable heat. So that could be part of why I began with the sun. But the sun is also a symbol of enlightenment and revelation. And I felt as if the sun reveals the truth. July was the month where we would begin to see the light. They began with a message to me. Events are put in motion. The ships have sailed. The horse is out of the barn. A series of events have begun. There is no going back. I saw an image from the film Ghostbusters in the 1980s when the character Ray chooses the form of the destroyer. And he chose the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And it's a comic moment where they said, choose the form of the destroyer. And everyone's like, I didn't choose. And they were like, Ray, what did you do? And Ray thought of the most comforting image he could think of, which was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And that became this comic monster that comes in to destroy the city of New York. I thought it was interesting that they showed me this image because it makes me feel that what's most dangerous to us is wrapped up in comfort, is wrapped up in something that we feel safe with. And yet we find out we can't trust it, that it becomes something that helps to bring us to destruction. So there could be that metaphor in that image. But also there's this sense that we have crossed a point of no return. I think up to this point, we have experienced points of choice. If we look back on the election with Kamala Harris not becoming president, and regardless of the reason, there was some sense that certain choices were made and we went down a certain path. And many of us were very surprised by that. We felt we didn't see it coming. And we realized we were in this maze of sorts of free will where we could go in multiple directions, even though we all saw the same end, which we come out the other side better than we were before. The actual details and twists and turns of which path we take to get there seem to really be up to us. My guides seem to be saying there were a lot of choices that we made, and now we had made a choice that has put us on a very specific path. I personally think it had something to do with Trump's decision to bomb Iran. I don't think, I knew some things were going to happen. As we look back in my former video, The Emperor Rises, by the end of the video, my guides were saying he has no more F's to give. He's going full-fledged emperor. Let's do it. I don't care what the world thinks kind of mentality. If I want to disappear people in the streets, I'll do it. If I want to bomb a country or take over a country, I will do it. It was that kind of mentality. And we saw that in many instances in the month of June, including what the Melon Felon did in California with the National Guard and also the bombing of Iran. I feel like that bombing specifically sent us on a path, and they said there's no going back from it. So we have chosen our destroyer. We have chosen the path. And even though there seems to be some comedy here that they're showing me, I felt as if it was going to be a difficult path. Once again, we could have gotten out of this a little easier. And unfortunately, I felt my guides were giving me an ominous warning that there's no going back now. He's gone and done it. And now we have to see this through. I felt the line, the ships have sailed, is literal, because at the same time they said that, I saw battleships going, and I think it was to the Strait of Hormuz. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, but I did feel battleships were moving toward the Middle East. This is where my guides took me backwards in time. It was as if we're reading a story or watching a movie, and then we have a flashback. And that's how it felt to me. They showed me 3 series of events that led to his overall psyche of why he chose what he did in Iran. The first was his loyalists are not cooperating. I heard people around me are idiots. In the past, I had good partners. You can't find loyal people anymore. I believe this is a reference to the Leon feud and also the passing of the Big Beautiful Bill. He was getting pushback from senators around that particular bill and doing what he wanted to do. And he felt these are supposed to be loyalists. These should be people on my side. And they're not doing that. As well, we have this feud with Leon. He was supposed to be a partner. I used to have good partners. Everybody's an idiot. I can't find loyal people anymore. So these 2 events happening at the end of May, beginning of June, started this, I'll call it psychosis. 2, an accident, I heard. The Melon Felon takes a fall. He is humiliated. I believe this is a reference to a very simple social media situation where the Melon Felon was caught on camera going up an airplane staircase, and he tripped. It was around June 8th, and he was humiliated because he looked weak. He looked in a way that Trump doesn't want to look in the public. 3, he was blackballed at the G7. I heard, "You will never be one of us." Then the Melon Felon said, "These people don't share my goals. I feel boxed in, restricted. They think they have power over me, but they steal from me. They won't share the wealth or the glory. I want complete power. They keep pushing back. I was tricked. I'm gone." There is some sense he feels boxed in and restricted. I was definitely getting the G7. There are things that were going down here where he felt like he wasn't getting his way. And that was the catalyst. That was something that made him snap and say, "I don't care. I'm going for it." I thought there could be something going on with Putin here as well. This idea of being boxed in may not have just been the G7. I feel like that line about stealing from him and not sharing the wealth and the glory may have something to do with Putin. There are a lot of people he's involved with, but overall, the G7 was a catalyst for him to say, "You know what? I'm out of here. I'm not going to do what you want me to do. I'm going to do what I want to do." The Melon Felon is filled with anxiety. Then a new possibility, a new opportunity, a deepening of a partnership. "I will make a deal. I am reconsidering options I previously rejected. New solutions to old problems. The Melon Felon is restless and bored." This is a reference to the Melon Felon making deals with people he normally wouldn't make deals with. As he said, "I am finding new solutions to old problems." That may be a reference to the bombing in Iran. Iran has been an old problem, and maybe he's just like, "This is a good solution for this. This is something that we should just do. It hasn't been done before." Making deals or reconsidering options that I previously rejected. This could be a reference to a couple of people. One, it could be in reference to Netanyahu. He wants the Melon Felon to work with him against Iran, but he's also obliged to Putin, and Putin is working with Iran. So there is a conflict of interest here, and I felt this could be a little pushback on Putin, where he's like, "Don't tell me what to do. And if I want to make a deal with Netanyahu, I'll do it. I'll do things my way." The other thing could be a reference to Zelensky. He has recently begun to sit down with Zelensky. Maybe he's reconsidering the G7. Let's stay with NATO. Let's work with Zelensky. Let's make some sort of a deal, even though it's against what Putin may want from me. There are a couple different ways I can interpret this, or maybe this is a reference to both cases. Either way, the guides were pointing out that this was an important turning point for the Melon Felon. A sacred site, the holy mountain. Conquer, it burns, fire. I heard those words, the holy mountain. Honestly, at that particular time, I had no idea. Keep in mind, I tried to stay away from the news, just dabbled with the headlines, especially over the last couple weeks and through this crisis. So I thought to myself, the holy mountain, is he going to bomb a holy site in Iran? What's going on here? I did a little search, and lo and behold, I found that the holy mountain is a reference to the Fordow nuclear facility where Iran hides nuclear materials. It is the place that they actually bombed, the holy mountain. Conquer, it burns, fire. So maybe my guides were just telling me that, yes, the bombing happened. It's interesting. They didn't tell me if it was successful or not, just that he conquered it. He felt a sense of conquering. So maybe this is, again, like a flashback. Why are you telling me this, guides? We already know this. This happened. What's going to happen in July? But yet they were showing me this whole series of events. The emperor commands, I want to bring together Putin and Netanyahu. We can work together. First, we ensure trade. Next, we do business. We can all come to an agreement. He never pays attention to details. He never sees the long-term consequences of his actions. That's when I saw Goldie Hawn from the film Overboard, when she says, Andrew, I seem to have lost my ruby earrings somewhere between 64th and 68th Street. Find them. It's like a comic moment in which her entitlement and her money, let's push around the little guy and just do what I tell you to do. And I believe this is in reference to the voice that said, you need to look at the big picture. You need to look at consequences of your actions. And he's just like, I have an idea, go make it happen. So that's his overall mindset. This is all about money and territory. This is about staking his claim, bold, daring, grabbing what he wants. I heard the word usurp. This may have something to do with taking the strait by force. The Melon Felon is in total control, ordering, asserting his power without permission and without hesitation. If not now, when, he says, I have the authority. He sets goals with the military. I don't care about the law. He makes deals with some, what I felt were corporation or oligarch type people for support. We will mobilize around my plan, my vision, and we will have military success around the strait. He lies. He has hidden secrets to obtain more money and power. The art of the deal. You come to peace or I'll do it. He stands strong, unwavering in his rhetoric. But will he do it? It is unclear. I see Putin and a little boy getting a scolding from his dad. I put you in the White House. I can take you out. You are an embarrassment. I get cryptocurrency and some threats around a money scheme. This decision seems uncertain. We will rewrite a new story with Iran and get rich. We will pretend to broker peace to help and to support. But this military action has a selfish agenda. The mainstream news will cry, victory for the Melon Felon. But our real war is within. So in this section, I do feel there is going to be some conflict around the Strait of Hormuz. I think he is going to send destroyers, battleships to that area in order to keep the strait open. I think this idea of usurp, like we're not even going to ask permission. We're just going to go in there and do it. We're going to protect our interests, and that's it. He has this fantasy of bringing Putin and Netanyahu to the same table, to have them all on the same page, the three amigos. We're going to do this, and we're going to get rich, and so forth. But this is a fantasy in his head, because in reality, these three men have different agendas. And that's where the frustration comes, especially with the military and his surrounding people. You are not seeing the big picture. You are not paying attention to details. You're just saying things off the top of your head, and you're going to get us in a real pickle. And he doesn't want to hear this. To him, he is the emperor and they are the little people. Go and find them, like the scene from the movie. He seems to be strong-arming the people behind the scenes. Iran, Russia, Israel, whoever's involved, there seems to be some manipulation for more money and power, because that's what he wants. So he's trying to make a deal that he will benefit from financially. And he's threatening, if you don't give me what I want, I'll do it. I'm going to do it. Don't test me. I'll do it. And I think that has something to do with the battleships going to Hormuz, Maybe it is about another attack. It's about taking the strait by force, something to the effect of more of a military attack. He's planning something and he's using it as a threat. But the guides are saying, will he do it? It's unclear. So this just could be empty threats. Right now, they're not showing me actually taking the strait by force. So I want that on the record. But I do feel like he is threatening them and therefore it's possible. Okay, so I'm leaning more toward he won't, but they are showing it to me that he's putting that energy in motion. That's when Putin comes in and I get him like the father and Trump like the little boy, like, what are you talking about? I own you. I put you in the White House and I can take you out. It reminds me of that old line, I brought you into this world and I can take you out. Like that comic parent moment. You are an embarrassment. And there seems to be some threat from Putin to the Melon Felon around a crypto scheme, which I thought was interesting. So money and crypto are part of this in a way that I don't understand, but that's what the guides were telling me. This is all about getting rich, using Iran to get rich, to broker more power, to get more money. And this idea of helping to make peace is all a mirage so that he can do these deals behind the scenes. Military action equals a selfish agenda, a way that he can benefit. And the mainstream media are going to be like, yay, Trump is successful. Isn't he great? Look he bombed Iran and now we have peace. Or it's going to be some silliness that you're going to hear in July. But the guides seem to want to tell us, don't worry about all this. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I mean, of course, this is something to be concerned about. But it's not as much of a concern, they're saying, is what's going on within our country. The true war is within, not outside in Europe or in the Middle East, but within our own boundaries. We begin with MAGA. The first thing I got was that the farmers were unhappy and food shortage. So there seems to be issues with farming, getting the crops out. They're worried about food shortages. And even though this might not happen specifically in July where you see food shortages, the farmers are projecting out that because of things that are happening right now, with the lack of immigrant labor, with droughts, remember the image of the sun, with whatever else is going on with our crops, financial issues, we might not have food in the winter. Right? There's going to be a chain reaction, and they're very, very upset. They're sounding the alarm. Foreign influence, misuse of taxpayer money, and you failed at a peace negotiation? He falls from grace. MAGA is not happy. The devoted followers are at a crossroads with the Melon Felon. This is a difficult choice. So these are Melon Felon supporters, and they're not happy with the foreign influence on America. They are not happy with the misuse of taxpayer money. And I feel this is coming off of the big, beautiful bill being passed by the beginning of the month. And they're not happy about a failed peace negotiation. So this could be something that's going on in Iran. Again, they kept it kind of open. We're still involved here. This is not what we want. We don't want to be involved with foreign wars. This is what we thought you campaigned against. So they're not happy with him. And you're going to see a lot of followers, especially followers with money, people who followed him specifically because of their own economic interests, are realizing, whoa, we really did choose incorrectly. Yes! The resistance, I believe, encompasses many groups, including the Democrats, and you're going to hear their voice here, as well as other groups that are pushing back on Trump that may not identify as Democrat. including old school Republicans. Big news. The emperor tries to gain military control. He lies, deliberately obscuring his true purpose, manipulating money and creating anxiety and fear. He is deeply unpopular. He lives in his own world, in twilight. He's crazy, a lunatic, lost his marbles. In the past, we laid passive as he pushed against the Constitution and expanded his power. We need to fix this now. We need to move to action.
Okay, let's go.
We are not getting anywhere. We just go through the motions. Explosion over a trade war has split the party. Foreign occupation is now complete. No, a choice must be made. We need to look at this, all of it. We can no longer push aside indiscretion. Things are becoming clear now. We believe in miracles. Things will turn in our favor. We will succeed. We will triumph. Yes, we have experienced trauma, but we see our mistakes. We will plant the seeds of prosperity and excitedly walk into our true potential as a nation. The guides gave me two voices to the resistance, and I believe it is 2 points of view in the Democratic Party, or maybe the nation as a whole, as far as people who are not cool with what the Melon Felon is doing. The first voice is one that's very optimistic. It's very progressive. Let's fight. We've just let this go too far. You kept saying hold back, but no, we can't. We have to make a choice now. We need to fight. Let's get this guy. And then there's a second voice who said, well, we try to fight, but we don't get anywhere, kind of like spinning our wheels. The trade war has really split the party. And I think that that's a reference to the money side of the Democratic Party. They've been kind of going along with this, going along to get along, and that's not getting us anywhere. And what are you going to do about those people? There's nothing we can do. They said foreign occupation is now complete, which is really depressing. It's like there's a whole segment of this so-called resistance, the politicians, or maybe even people in America who are just like, oh, well, Russia took us over. Foreign countries are telling us what to do, and we're just puppets. It's over. There's nothing you can do. And that's when the other voice is coming back saying, no, we got to make a choice now. It's not too late. Let's do this. We can plant the seeds for prosperity in the future. We can move forward into our true potential as a nation. It's the voice of resilience. It's I feel the real voice of Americans, the American spirit, that we can accomplish anything, that it's never too late. Doesn't matter if we're the underdog. It doesn't matter, because we will come back for justice and freedom. And that leads to the 4th of July. Groups will come together for common reasons, where in the past there was only hostility between them. We will work together now. The protests will be thoughtful and strategic. Protesters will address the challenges ahead, especially economic challenges, the challenges of immigrants, and how workers are overworked, underpaid, and underappreciated. I believe they will pass a version of the big, beautiful bill right before July 4th, and that will create this particular focus. Women are at the forefront of the resistance. They have nothing left to lose and stand bravely. There is anger and rage. I don't have time or energy or money to take care of everybody. I refuse to be a caregiver. We struggle financially while you squander our resources on meaningless wars and golf and parades. You can't manage the most simple of tasks. We are concerned about energy costs. We need security in our old age. Healthcare. Family values, The protests will avoid volatile situations by not engaging, but they are still poking the bear, trying to create violence. An event may be canceled because of the protests and unrest. We are sending you a message. More young people come out this time because of the Iranian conflict. We move into action, a new birth of our nation. I heard two parts of the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. That's when I saw a new Declaration of Independence at the protest. Instead of grievances against the king, King George, it was grievances against the Melon Felon. I heard edict, decree, and there's some comedy here. I feel like this is going to be over social media. Maybe this is part of a speech and then they take pieces of it on social media. But there is some sense that we are reiterating this declaration again, and the people are feeling this government is not working for us, and we have the right to change government and to fix government that doesn't work for us. That the government exists because of the people, and that's it. And they are going to present grievances against the Melon Felon. That's when I saw riot shields. Some areas may have riots and police push back. This could be LA. There is a wall of police, a boundary. The people keep moving themselves forward. So although the guide said most of the protests would be very peaceful, very strategic, and even though there might be agitators trying to poke the bear, as they said, for the most part, it's peaceful. But there may be a few places in which I saw like a riot wall, like pushing the people back. But the people kept pushing forward. They kept pushing. And the only thing I could think of was it was LA, because there's already a situation cooking there that would make it different than other parts of the country because of what happened in June. So we'll see. The US faces its shadow. Overall, this day is positive. We offer what we have to those in need. Protect yourself. Be aware. There will be sorrow and pain, broken hearts. We stand up for those who suffer. We will heal. Those in power, you are sinking fast. You cannot win. Let them protest, the Melon Felon responded. Those detained now, I will send away in revenge. Happy 4th of July. We will not back down. This protest will have an important impact on the coming chain of events. The US is at a moral crossroads. So the guides tell us to be careful. They said, even though it's a good day, overall, it's a positive day for most people, there are going to be pockets of places where things are difficult. And there is going to be heartache. And there is going to be sorrow and pain. And that might have something to do with the shields and the police I saw them like pushing them like in a giant wall. But the voice of the people was resolute. We will not back down. You cannot win. We'll just keep coming. And that wall and the people still pushing, that could have been a metaphor as well, that they will just keep coming, that they won't back down. Maybe sending out immigrants on or around that day in revenge. That's what I had gotten from that line, kind of like, ha ha, you think you're so great? Well, look what I can do. The court said I could do this, and I'm going to do this. Happy 4th of July, neener, neener, neener. Horrible, just horrible. So expect the worst from him on that day in retaliation for what might be going on the ground. I would say overall, the 4th of July is going to be a day for us all to reflect on our roots and what it really means to be an American and what it really means to be independent and to have freedom, because that comes with responsibility. It's going to be a huge day of reflection. And the guides say it's a turning point in the series of events in the unraveling. I heard there is overwhelming evidence. At first, we did not see eye to eye. Leon is outside the trusted circle and he has a huge ego, but he is taking the supportive role no more. I cannot lose. The guides begin with one of those flashbacks, kind of like going back in time. And I see Trump and Leon. And it's as if they're showing me the deal that they made, that this is part of the overwhelming evidence. They made a deal. And even though Trump was a little unsure about Leon, he says he has a big ego. He's always been outside the sacred circle, the people that he could trust. He felt he had no choice. He will play a supportive role no more. In other words, he made a deal with him. You can be a partner with me in this. There must have been some money promises exchanged because that's how he deals with anything. And he felt he had to do it because he cannot lose. He cannot lose. He, in a sense, made a deal with the devil, which is ironic. The guide said, in July, somebody who assisted speaks. There are legal proceedings. He has regrets. There are outages and the replacing and exchanging of VOTES. We need to fix this. Wrongdoing is exposed. So in this segment, allegedly and for entertainment purposes only, I got that in July, somebody was going to speak out or spill the beans about what happened there between Trump and Leon. Is it Leon himself? That was unclear to me. My guides were not specific with me. I kept asking, is this Leon? Is Leon going to spill the beans? No answer. Just this sort of cryptic, someone who assisted speaks, someone who was there, someone who helped. So if it's not Leon himself, it may be someone who helped on the outside, maybe one of Leon's minions, for example. There's going to be a whistleblower one way or another, and some wrongdoing is going to come to the surface. And I'm wondering if this has something to do with some of the cases that are pending in the courts. But regardless, they did say that the election issues may be coming to the surface in July. This one is weird. I mean, who knew? But I got the image of Ivana's grave again. And this is what I got. And then we'll try to piece it together. But I got digging up the unknown, uncovering lost evidence. Secrets are unearthed. Who retains authority in a crisis? If Leon has legal issues, what is the succession plan? How do we retain control over the cult? I saw an image of Scientology. I got Hubbard being gone, who was Ron Hubbard, the innovator of Scientology. And I saw David Miscavige, I believe is his name. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I got him assuming power, the new leader of Scientology. This is interesting because that was also a cult in which they were controlling a message, controlling the people. And there was another sect of that cult that was there to take power. I feel like they're talking about something like that here. What happens if something happens to Leon? What happens if something happens to the Melon Felon? Who's next in line to continue this succession? It's almost like we have in our country, the vice president becomes president next, and then the speaker of the house and so forth. This was almost like their own succession plan that they were talking about and unearthing. All right, who's next? How does it go down? A man unearths the secrets, security cameras, a fake death with a successful outcome. There are plans here. The time is set. We will use technology and AI for surveillance. There's a lot going on here that I don't understand. And I really tried to work with this, try to put it together. So I'm going to repeat the big things that I'm seeing here. One, they showed me an image of someone digging up Ivana's grave. This could maybe literally happening. Maybe this is caught on camera because they kept talking about security cameras, surveillance, like watching who's going to go in and get this. So it could be that someone's watching what's in the grave. If it's literal and not a metaphor, what's in the grave? It seems that the guides are giving me a conversation with people who are concerned about a succession plan. If something happens to Leon, especially, or if something happens to the Melon Felon, if someone goes down, how do we retain control of the cult? There seems to be some information, possibly literally in the grave. If not, it's somehow symbolic of something that I don't understand. But that was the conversation. A faked death with a successful outcome. I have no idea what that is. I know Ivana's on the other side. I know that. I know that that is not a faked death. So it has nothing to do with Ivana. I don't know what this is or how this comes up, but there could be some secrets that they're not proud of. Or maybe there's a plan here to fake the Melon Felon's death. That's a possibility. And somehow that's part of what's in Ivana's grave. A succession plan, a plan for a faked death. I know this sounds crazy. It sounds like some sort of weird movie, but it could be possible because my original reading on Ivana's grave was there was some sort of exit plan that was buried there, something that he could use in an exit plan. So I feel like a lot of this is being unearthed in July. People are getting ready. There's a split. I kept getting tech bros, and I feel like they're very concerned about, that branch is concerned about power. So if we look at all of the people who want power and control from the Republican Party at this particular time, there is a split that's happening in July, and there seems to be a change in power. People are getting ready. Do you know who I am? Stick with me, I got a plan. Help comes in, a disclosure, evidence of a scandal, death and a cover-up around the White House. This can cause a societal collapse, a power shift. There will be legal proceedings. We will be defeated. This is bad news. How do we spin this? He is a lunatic, a bottomless money pit. The solution to the problem is to run away. Oh, we are trapped. Reverse course. The economy is falling apart. Again, I have no idea what's going on here, but something's going down at the end of July. There's evidence of a scandal that's coming out. It has something to do with this unearthing, and the symbolism of Ivana's grave, whether literal or figurative. I keep getting death and a cover-up. I got a fake death. Now I'm getting a death and a cover-up around the White House. This is not the Melon Felon. So I don't get the Melon Felon out. At least I didn't. This seems to be a scandal, like maybe someone who was taken out secretly, or there's something here that's coming out, and it's someone connected to the White House. I don't know what this is. I don't know who this is, but it has something to do with this scandal, death and a cover-up around the White House. Unless this has something to do with Mr. Epps' files. That might have been a death that was covered up. So something's coming out here. We'll have to see what it is. This could cause societal collapse or a power shift. So whatever's going down here, I feel is volatile enough to upend the power structure in America, to make people feel like the nation is really splitting, like what's going to happen. And they don't know how to spin it. They don't know how to make this better, to calm down the people. And the people who could be most affected by this unearthing in the government, this scandal, are like, run away, run away. That's the solution. Let's get out of here. Get on the closest plane and get to our mansion in another country. There seems to be, let's get on the escape hatch. Let's eject. But then they're trapped. They said, we're trapped, reverse course. So they can't leave. And this could be the law that's coming after them. It was too late. they can't leave. They're trapped. And I did get that this is upending the economy. This news or this unearthing of information is really affecting our economy at this time. I got Ivanka this month. And again, I'm getting a lot of people and a lot of situations that I haven't read on in a very long time. But I got Ivanka. The first line is, Trump is at Mar-a-Lago regulating his health. You have benefited greatly from the shadow ruler. We force your hand, Ivanka says. They cower to him like loyal dogs. I am jealous of Leon. Mark my words, he will cause great financial loss for the family. Ivanka secretly travels to the Middle East. She is on an airplane with her husband with relentless determination. The war had disappointing results. There are power shifts because of collective action, protests, the people. Yes, the people are rising. She is concerned with generational wealth for her family. I assisted you with the replacement of VOTES. This is a disaster. I split from you. We are forever separated. We will recover. If it is me or you, it's me. So here, and this kind of went along with what I had gotten for June's predictions, that there's a period where the Melon Felon may disappear in order to regulate his health. They seem to be saying something here of the same kind of thing, that they might be down in Mar-a-Lago and maybe Trump isn't doing well physically, but that's a time where they can hide it and get him in control. And there seems to be a meeting with Ivanka. And the Melon Felons kind of strong-arming her and saying, we force your hand. You have to do what we tell you to do. Why? Because you have benefited greatly from the shadow ruler. I personally think the shadow ruler is Putin. And that's just my personal opinion. And she has benefited from that and from the family's dealings. And she's disgusted with the people around him who are just cowering to him like loyal dogs, like, okay. And that disgusts her. And she admits that she's jealous of Leon because she doesn't trust him. And she felt all along, it's almost like I knew he would be the downfall of the family financially. Like, mark my words, he's going to be the downfall. You shouldn't have trusted that guy. That's the feeling I was getting with that line. And she breaks off. She's like, I assisted you in this thing, which makes me feel more and more, is Leon spilling the beans here? Or is there someone connected to Leon spilling the beans? It's kind of like, well, evidence is coming out, so I'll just admit it now and try to make a deal and try to pin it on this guy. Something's coming out, and it has to do with election interference. And Ivanka's connected to this indirectly. And so she's like, peace out, man. I saw that image of her going to the Middle East. She feels the people are rising, the power is shifting, and she's done. She's trying to preserve her money for her personal family, her children. And she's just like to her father, if it's me or you, it's going to be me. And that's it. We're done. She splits off. So you may see her making a grand escape around this time. I do feel she may also be part of the spilling of the beans to cut a deal for herself against her own father. By the end of July, my guides only had a few words to say. They said, suddenly, his words are garbled. Ideas and concepts are unclear. Speech difficulties. There is news about Trump's health. That was it. End of transmission. They had nothing more to say. I asked more questions, but it was like radio silent. Just that he wasn't doing well. And we're going to notice it in his speech. Now, we're already noticing confusion and garbled words. We already noticed that. But I had a sense that by the end of July, it would be even more so. And it might be based on a specific event, possibly a stroke, or possibly his mental situation is accelerating to the point where in public, everyone notices it. There's something seriously wrong. There's news about Trump. So something's happening with his health. I still get him here at the end of July. So I don't want you to interpret this as he's on his way out. I don't know that. They wouldn't tell me, but they did end it with he was not doing very well. You have all these different factions. As the truth comes out, as things begin to unravel, as the people rise, you're beginning to see truth slip through the cracks. What happened with the election? What's in the grave? What happened with this very strange death? There's truth coming out. Who's connected to what? And they're sweating. They're making plans. Some of them are even trying to escape, both the government and maybe even the country. So things are starting to go down at the end of July. But it's not going to be an easy month. And God knows what they didn't tell me is going to happen. But I did get the sense that I'm in a situation that I need to witness, and that there may be some things they can't give me too much information about. So we really are in that segment of the story. Those are my predictions for July 2025. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with all your friends. Hang on, everybody. We are going to get through this. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.